This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, we're now just 2 weeks out from the start of Packers training camp. They're going to hold the first of 14 practices on July 23rd up in Green Bay. They still have some work to do before then, including a potential restructure of Elton Jenkins' contract as he moves from guard to center and to sign second-round pick Anthony Belton. Turning to Wisconsin, they aren't too far away from fall camp either. Before that, though, Coach Luke Fickell, along with quarterback Billy Edwards Jr., center Jake Renfro, and cornerback Ricardo Hallman get ahead to Las Vegas for Big Ten Media Days on July 22nd through the 24th. As for the Bucs, they made a couple more moves official last night with the signing of wing Gary Harris and the re-signing of forward Ryan Rollins. To the college game, Badgers going through summer workouts. That includes guard John Blackwell. He went through the draft process this offseason, but decided to return to school. Assistant coach Joe Kravinoff had a lot of really good things to say about the junior.
His game is just growing by the day. I mean, he's such a talented young man, but his biggest thing, I mean, I'd love to do an open heart on him. He's got the biggest heart, and he just believes he can go at anybody on either end of the floor, and that's what makes John Blackwell who he is and what he's so fun to watch.
Again, that was Wisconsin assistant Joe Kravinoff.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Wisconsin State Fair. As a thank you for your support, they're giving away State Fair tickets. Visit ruralmutual.com/win and enter to win State Fair tickets.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers and Dodgers matching up in the final game of their three-game series this afternoon at American Family Field. Milwaukee will get tomorrow off before opening up a series against Washington, their final one before the All-Star break. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil-Print.
Jacob Misiorowski, congratulations. What a win, what a performance. 12 strikeouts for you, and you shut down the Los Angeles Dodgers here. How did you settle in after the leadoff home run to Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, I mean, it's Shohei, so, I mean, you expect it, but, you know, I just had to settle in, do my stuff, and play my game.
Jacob, what was the difference? Congrats on your first Gatorade shot.
Thank you. It's colder than I expected.
The kid has elevated his game to another level. Giving up the leadoff home run, it's like getting knocked down in the first round. He's one of the best hitters in the game, and he leaves a breaking ball up, gives up a homer, got back up, and battled.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
It's a little bit from Jacob Misiorowski postgame last night with Sophia Menert, and then a little bit from Pat Murphy as well. I had to include that little moment. I don't even know what you call that. A moment, a highlight, a soundbite of Misiorowski describing his first Gatorade bath. It's colder than I expected. He can throw 100 too. I don't know that he necessarily has game. I don't know that that's the smoothest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's cold. It's colder than I expected. Okay. That's from last night. The Brewers winning last night, probably one of my favorite games of the season. The game today, at least so far, has been one of my least favorite games of the season. Now, regardless of what happens, by the way, the Brewers are currently in the bottom of the ninth, which you might be listening or following along to the game. I try to not talk Brewers too heavily when the Brewers are actually playing, because I figure if you're really that interested in the Brewers and you want to talk about the Brewers, you're probably watching or listening. But for those of you that are here, especially on our flagship station in Madison, The Zone, one of our few affiliates that isn't actually carrying the Brewers game, bottom of the ninth, they do have three cuts or three at-bats. They're down 2-1. This game has been really frustrating to watch. Quintana cruised. Maybe some of his best stuff of the year. Maybe one of his best starts. I don't know. I'm not going to go back and look through his game log. But watching this team try to hit today has just been a miserable experience. It's just one of those games. And look, there's 162 games. Sometimes the offense just isn't, it's just not going to be there. Guys aren't going to be feeling it. The other pitching staff just has a day, whatever. I can't watch these guys try to put the bat on the ball anymore. I can't watch Joey Ortiz watch more strikes go right down the middle. I can't watch Christian Yelich roll another one slowly right back up the middle or to the first base side. I just can't do it. So maybe the Brewers walk this off, but if not, at least thank God it'll be over. I mostly want to focus on last night's game for a large portion of today's show because I think it's one of the better games of the season. And it might have just given us a little showing of what this team can look like at its best. And naturally, the next couple of weeks on Sports Talk Radio are going to feature a lot of talk about buying or selling or adding or subtracting, right? So in order to have those conversations and to think the Brewers should do this or shouldn't do that, we kind of have to have a good idea of what this Brewers team is. And I thought last night's game showed us a little bit like this team at its best, led by the pitching, both starting and relief pitching. Maybe there's something there that's worth adding to, or maybe there's something there that's worth a little bit more than maybe we thought a month or so ago. 608-321-1670 if you want to call or text the show. I'll take your calls whenever. You can comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter as well, at Wisco Grant. I do have a Bucks soundbite that I want to play for you later on in this hour. Rick Carlisle speaking, I think with Chris Long's Green Light podcast. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look about how Myles Turner came to be a Milwaukee Buck. I think it's very interesting, kind of describing the process, both that the Pacers followed and that the Bucks followed to the unaware Pacers. Not that they knew it at the time, but a little bit of fallout. And I kind of found that interesting. So we'll get to that at some point as well. But I do want to start with the Brewers. However this game ends, and there's one out, Bryce Terang with one of the worst at-bats I've ever seen. So let's set this game to the side. At the very worst, they took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, which we all would have taken in a heartbeat. Maybe a miracle happens and they end up walking it off or extending this game. Maybe. We'll see. But at the very least, they've beaten the Dodgers 2 out of 3. Really impressive in the first game. They jumped all over Yamamoto in the first inning. We talked about this yesterday. And then last night, I think one of the best games of the season, one of my favorite games of the year so far. I think it was a Mount Rushmore first half 2025 Brewer game. I take that game against the Cubs, game 2, after the rainout, where it came down to the wire. I think Yelich's walk-off grand slam against the Red Sox, probably another. I think last night's game is one of the games that will be a bit of a moment and that I'll remember. Unbelievable theater. The crowd was packed as much as it can be for a Tuesday night game. The noise, the energy, it was following along with these pitches and at-bats almost as if like it sounded a little bit like a playoff game in there. And I know Miz was excellent. I don't want to talk about him at length in a couple minutes here, but that's as good as I've seen Koenig throw all season. He came in, he got a ground out on 2 pitches, a fly out on 2 pitches, a ground out on 5 pitches, and in the inning, he hit 99 3 times and 98 once in that final at bat. Abner Uribe cleared the 8th inning with only 10 pitches, including getting Ohtani and Betts. He was ahead in every single count. McGill, who's taken a lot of, I don't want to say slings and arrows, but I think people have started to look at McGill sideways like, okay, are you going to be the full-time closer the rest of the year? He goes 1-2-3 and led hitters 0-2, 1-2, and 0-1, striking out Freddie Freeman and Pajes, who's been one of the Dodgers' better hitters this season. Dominant pitching start to finish. Here's Pat Murphy giving a little bit of a summary of the game, but you also hear him shout out Koenig. And in this answer, you hear him kind of say the same thing that I thought. It's like, I think that's the best that Koenig's looked all season.
Really great to see. And we played really good defense. Monastero made a really nice play in the 6th, and Vaughn made a nice play in the 6th, and it just, everybody kind of came together. And that was good. And our relief pitching after that, Koenig, Uribe, and McGill, that's real good. That's as good as Koenig's throw the ball in a while.
Bang.
What can you say? Uribe and McGill have been great. McGill, really underrated.
Just keeping you updated, the Brewers have tied it in the bottom of the 9th. Andrew Vaughn in 3 days has done more than Rhys Hoskins has done since opening day against the Mets last year. Rhys Hoskins and Andrew Vaughn both have that in common, that their best moment with the club came in their first game. Although Vaughn has time to build on it, I've just about given up on Rhys Hoskins. That was, again, Pat Murphy talking about last night. Dominant pitching throughout, and I saw this. I bookmarked this from Kurt Hogue after the game. Brewers pitchers tonight, Miz, Koenig, Uribe, McGill, averaged 99.34 miles per hour on fastballs. That's the highest average fastball velo in any single game by a team in the pitch tracking era. We don't have velo data past 08, but odds are that's the highest average fastball velo in a game ever. So the pitch tracking era goes back to 2008. But to Kurt's point, it stands to reason that, like, I wouldn't bet that there was some game in 1988 with an average fastball, or an average velocity above that. It's not like, that's just not how the sport has gone. Like, you can't go back to the 30s when Shaky Legs Parker was throwing 104. Like, there weren't dozens of Aroldis Chapmans in the league in the 50s. That's just not how it works. So I would bet, and we have no way of knowing, at least previous to 2008, but I would bet that that's probably the fastest baseball game ever played in terms of velocity, not in game length. Although the game moved pretty quickly just because pitching was good and there wasn't a ton of offense. A start to finish dominant performance from starter Misiorowski and bullpen between Koenig, McGill, and Uribe. And I think if you are someone who really wants the Brewers to be aggressive and you're like, I think they should buy, I think they should try to win this year, I think they should invest, I think they should mortgage a little bit of the future. If you're someone like that, use last night's game as evidence. And use Brandon Woodruff's start from Sunday as evidence. You're like, look, Misiorowski's special, or he's pitching at a special level right now. Woodruff's back and looking like he might be a real player in this. Quintana has been excellent. Priester has been way more than we thought he would be. And Freddie Peralta's Freddie Peralta. And look at this bullpen. When they're rested, which isn't as often as I'd like, a hilarious wrinkle of the game that is being played right now. Jose Quintana threw 6 innings today. And yet somehow between the 7th, 8th, and 9th, Ashby, Mears, Anderson, Koenig, and Uribe have all managed to appear, and this game is at least going to extras now because it's now tied 2-2 in the bottom of the 9th. How do you use that many pitch? Whatever. Not the point. If you're someone who thinks that the Brewers should invest and really, really go for it, games like last night, performances like last night, that's why. Or Woodruff start on Sunday, that's why. We have seen some evidence of high-level pitching, contender-level pitching. Needs a little supplementation probably on the offensive side. But if you think the Brewers, like, hey, they should trade prospects, they should do this, that, or the other thing, last night is the game you look at, right? That's the example that you reference. 608-321-1670. I got a caller, so what the heck? It's always a little bit of a de facto Brewers show, live Brewers postgame, the day of a Brewers day when we're live at 4 o'clock. So let's take a call. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. Quick question for you.
Yes,
After
Vagabond
the
John.
Dodgers series.
Yes.
Earlier this week, or maybe it was late last week, I can't remember. We talked about, are they one hitter away from being a contender? Have you taken one step toward that argument based on the level of pitching that we've seen over the last couple of days?
I think you have to. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Do you really think? And look, I hope Misiorowski has a long career, successful for a long time, Clayton Kershaw level career, Hall of Famer. But I don't know that you should be planning for like, well, we got to think about the next 4 years with Misiorowski. Like, there's a good chance that he's dominating right now, and this is your best chance to really ride him and get the most from him. Freddie Peralta, he's not going to be here forever. Like, I think you look at this collection of starters and relievers and think, yeah, I think you almost owe your club and your fans, a chance with a little more offense, don't you think?
I couldn't agree more. Give it, we'll call this one a really big bite at the apple. And I know I mentioned this on Twitter last night, but literally during band practice, our singer asked us to turn off the TV. They are not familiar with baseball at all because they were distracted by how many Ks were on the screen. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what do you think that means? But then I had to turn to my bass player and ask him, what's going on over there? And he goes, the Mizler's got 12 freaking strikeouts.
The Mizler.
And I was like, that's just perfect. So that's all. I was just curious on that. I know we got a Packers topic that we couldn't hit on, but we've got a couple more weeks until that's kind of relevant. I'll just leave it at this. If you're looking at this team and you think the defense is the problem still, that's just ridiculous at this point. You got to score more than 13 points in the playoff game to get a win. So we'll do more of a deep dive on that later this year. We are getting very close. And next week I'm in for Bill. So we're probably going to have to hit some Packers topics next week. I saw Vagabond John tweeting about this. I actually may have sent Vagabond John a tweet today because I saw on ESPN Milwaukee, Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, Gabe, the morning show. Chewy, Mark Chimura, was ranting about how this offense is championship level, but the defense needs to be better. And I'm like, I think I'm taking crazy pills. You guys not watch the season last year? Like 2 or 3 straight years now, the defense has been good enough at the end. The offense has been good enough. We've talked about it. Vagabond John is all over that, just like I am. So we'll probably circle back to that. If not later this week, certainly next week with the All-Star break. Vagabond John mentioned Misiorowski having 12 strikeouts last night, just absolutely dominant. Misiorowski might have it.
Like he might have it. Not just the stuff. He has the stuff. I don't need to tell you that. You have eyeballs and you've read or you've listened to smart baseball people explain. Yeah, 102 miles an hour is pretty good. And a slider that's 95 or faster is pretty good. And the changeup and the curveball, the stuff is really good. The release point and the extension and the limbs flying everywhere. Yeah, he's got the stuff. I'm saying that he has it. You watch those at bats against Ohtani last night? I'm assuming you did, but didn't it feel like you needed to lean in a little bit? Didn't it feel like, ooh, I gotta focus. This is bigger. This feels bigger. I think there's something with Misiorowski. Baseball players would say, well, that at bat, obviously that's a big matchup. I want to get that guy. But I think it meant just a little bit more to Misiorowski. And I think it meant quite a bit to Ohtani, too. And with every at bat that progressed throughout the game, that home run in the first inning, and then the next at bat where they battled, I could tell Misiorowski wanted it. He wanted to get a strikeout there. And I think Maurer mentioned it on the radio broadcast. I was listening on my drive home, and then I watched the last couple of innings. I really like athletes, especially in baseball and in basketball, where the seasons are longer and you can kind of pick your moments to really charge it up. I like athletes who recognize a moment or recognize a matchup and say, yeah, we kind of owe it to the game. We kind of owe it to the fans to really turn it up a notch here. Those at-bats felt playoff level. And you could see the expression of emotion when Misiorowski got him. Or in the last at-bat where he missed just barely on the inside. Not that stopped Ohtani from completely fleeing out of the way. Mahomes flopping out of bounds. I mean, the corollary is there. That's pathetic from Ohtani. Just like it's pathetic from Mahomes. You're the best player in the world. Don't resort to bush crap like that. But you could tell how much emotion Ohtani wanted it, and Misiorowski wanted it. He couldn't believe that pitch was called a ball. I'm like, I kind of like how charged up he is. Some people could say that that's cockiness or that's confidence or, man, I think it's something else. I think he has it. Another example of this last night. Did you see what Clayton Kershaw said before the game? This is Adam McKelvey's tweet. Clayton Kershaw on matching up against The Miz. Is that the guy with the ankle? The twisted the ankle on the mound guy? I know he throws hard. I saw a couple highlights. He throws hard, but so does everybody except me. Well, apparently, we come to learn after the game, Todd Rosiak asks Misiorowski about facing the legend, Kershaw. You probably grew up watching Kershaw, emulating him. You wanted to be him one day. What was that like? Here's their exchange after the game.
What was it like today matching up against the future Hall of Famer there in Kershaw?
Yeah, I mean, you have all the respect in the world to face Kershaw and, the 3,000 Ks. It's awesome to see a guy like that and match up against him. But, I saw something on online that he didn't know who I was, so I hope that he knows me now, kind of cool. But, it is what it is.
Holy cow. He's dorky and quirky and awkward. But if you cut through that tone and you cut through that, kind of dorky, almost prepubescent tone.
Colder than I expected.
Yeah, colder than I expected.
Colder than I expected.
Not that. But if you cut through kind of the
see a guy like that and match up against him, but I saw something on online that he didn't know who I was, so I hope that he knows me now. Kind of cool. But it is what it is.
Is he smack talking 3,000 strikeout Clayton Kershaw? Kind of what it sounds like. This kid might have it to the point where, I don't care that he's 23. That's a guy that you can march out into the mound in a playoff game and try to go win. Not Corbin Burns, where he'll go out there and, hand it away. Sorry. I don't know. This is what I'm saying. If you're someone who believes that the Brewers should go for this thing and not trade away their entire farm system, but you think they should go get a meaningful piece. Last night is the reason why, or Brandon Woodruff on Sunday coming back is the reason why. What the Brewers bullpen is doing today, this pitching staff is good. And this offense is kind of pukey. I don't understand how this game is tied in the 10th. The Dodgers are playing some bad baseball right now. Frelick 0 for, Contreras 0 for, Churio 0 for. Oh my God. Puke. Yelich has 2 hits. One's an infield hit and another one I think just dribbled through. And yet the game is tied. This pitching staff is nails. And I liked Vagabond John's point. It was kind of my opening point too that I've written down in my notes. This pitching staff is going to make the Brewers front office question hard how much they want to invest and how much they want to push. Because I think this pitching staff has shown that they're worthy of that. I think. Just open your eyes. Watch the last couple of games. 608-321-1670. I'll take more of your calls, your texts, and your comments. We are headed to the bottom of the 10th. The Brewers are going to have a chance to walk off the Dodgers if they can just advance a runner from second to home. McGill slamming the door. I think he struck out the side. I think he got Ohtani, Freeman. Holy crap. This pitching staff. This is what I'm saying. We'll talk more about it, and I'll take some of your calls on the other side. 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
What I want to do is give the Brew Crew some love because they're scrappy, man. They always have been. You got to love Pat Murphy, but their lineup kind of, we talk about how do you add value? Old school, willing to move runners, hit the ball on the ground, do the little things. They smack you in the mouth with Sal Frelick. 2017 Gatorade high school, Massachusetts Football Player of the Year. If you don't think he gets you going, you're lying to yourself. Double. Then we got Jackson Churio, who Brian Anderson's back on the Brewers games, Lauren. I know huge fans of him.
Yeah, I saw that last night.
Do you know Jackson Churio is the youngest player in the big leagues?
I did not know that.
I feel like he's already immersed himself as one of, and I know he's not having a great year to start, but, and then a resurgence from Christian Yelich, and I shouldn't say resurgence, he's just healthy. Yeah. But they are a scary, scary team because fastball Freddie can get it done. Misiorowski goes today.
And Brandon Woodruff.
And Brandon Woodruff looked darn good.
Yeah.
So, hey, I need the owner of the Brewers to go out and let me do a few things because this team's willing to fight for you and your city. They're willing to fight.
One more time, that's MLB Central yesterday, Mark DeRosa, imploring the Brewers to do something. And watching Misiorowski last night, watching Brandon Woodruff come back, watching Quintana today, who is unbelievable. Excellent. Even if he doesn't, this is a chance the Brewers might trade him. They have so much pitching. There's a lot of value there. And just watching this pitching staff, starting and relief, both come together and perform at a really dominant level, makes you wonder, maybe it is worthwhile to go and get some sort of a bat. The Brewers just walked it off. Jackson Chourio poking one through the left side. The first hit of anybody in the top 3 spots in the order. Now, Frelick was 0 for 4. Contreras was 0 for 5, but in his 5th at bat, put a towering fly ball into right to advance Frelick over to third base, and then Chourio the first hit. So 0 for 4 from Frelick, 0 for 5 from Contreras, 0 for 4 from Chourio until the 10th. How the Brewers won this game today, I'm mystified. It was a lot of Jake Bauers and Caleb Durbin and then Ortiz, and then Murphy got pissed because Ortiz was watching strikes down the middle, so he put in Monasterio, and then Siegler pinch it later. It's like, can one of the guys with a name on this team please get a hit or do something? And, well, Grant, Yelich had 2 hits. Those were both fake hits. One was an infield hit, and another one I believe just kind of rolled through. Just kind of a soft little, somebody hit the ball. And still, to the end of the game, the Brewers walked it off. No one really hit the ball. But Quintana was that good. Ashby did not have his command. Looked like someone who threw 40 pitches less than 2 days ago and took a line drive off the hand. Imagine that. Mears was good enough, but then this relief unit, Grant Anderson, Koenig, between last night and today is probably looking like the best version of himself that we've seen all year. Uribe worked a little bit, but got through it. And then McGill with one of the most impressive 10th innings. And with that runner on second, you need to be impressive. You can't give up one hit and get away with it, right? You can't even give up a grounder to the right side and then a fly ball and get away with it. And McGill comes up and just gasses up 3 hitters, bang, 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 1, 2, 3. And the Brewers move the runner over, the shadow runner, which was Sal Frelick, and then Chourio gets the hit to move him in. So if you have any thoughts on today's game, or yesterday's game, the series as a whole, sweeping the Dodgers. I know they have been playing well, but be honest, when we saw that the Dodgers were swept by the Astros, our thought, or at least my thought, and I think the thought of many Brewers fans, at least the ones that I talked to, wasn't, oh, good, we're getting the Dodgers at a good time. It's, oh, great, we're going to get them right as they're about to snap out of this, right? Because the Dodgers are too good to be this bad for this long. Although, I'll tell you what, Freddie Freeman looked kind of like dog ass in this series. And Mookie, I don't know if he's dealing with something or what. Ohtani was putting together good at-bats and jumped all over that pitch from Misiorowski last night. But that Dodgers, I know Teoscar Hernandez is coming back, and Pajes and Will Smith have been 2 of their best hitters. They're the Dodgers. They'll win 102 games. They'll be fine, probably. I just really impressed at the way the Brewers pitching staff, again, both starting and relief, handled their business the last 3 games. Freddie in game 1, Misiorowski and company last night, and Quintana and company this afternoon. 608-321-1670. Your calls on the Brewers or whatever else is going on. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is Ron from Madison.
Ron, what's going on?
Nice sweep by the Brewers.
No kidding. Kind of a bonus win today. Around the 7th or 8th inning, I'm like, it's not their day, whatever. It kind of feels like a freebie.
But with their pitching and the new kid, the rookie, and this rookie, he's for real, man. He's going to be a star if he stays healthy.
So, Ron, the question, and this is kind of what I'm grappling with today. Over the last week, we've seen Misiorowski have his first bad start and then bounce back. We've seen Brandon Woodruff come back and look unbelievable. Quintana looks great. Freddie maybe just had his best start of the year. Has the last week maybe changed your mind a little bit about how aggressive you'd want the Brewers to be at the deadline?
Hey, go for it, man. Hey, before the season started, my prediction was 93 wins when they make the playoffs.
Okay.
And they're right on pace for that.
Isn't that kind of insane? It's pretty insane. It's more insane than last year. I was talking about this with Bill earlier today, Ron. Like, Pat Murphy and Matt Arnold won awards last year, and it was thought of as, if they win 90 games and make the playoffs again this year, I think it's way more impressive than what they did last year, which I also thought was impressive.
But with Quintana,
yes,
the new Misiorowski, Brandon Woodruff, and Peralta.
Mm-hmm.
If they make the playoffs, man, that's a shoot, man. And the bullpen they got, man, they could do some damage in the playoffs. I hope, but we got to get past that first round.
Just win it. Exactly. It's like, in 2008, big Ron. I appreciate the call. Not Big Ron. That's Big Ron in Jersey. Thank you, Ron in Madison. Normal sized Ron. Let's call him in Madison. A lot has to change between now and the playoffs, but looking at the bullpen, like, you have 4 guys between McGill, Uribe, Koenig that you really, really like. Mears, I think he needs the all-star break. His stuff doesn't look quite as good as it did early. But Grant Anderson has been being used a little bit more in big-time spots. I think Ashby, I'm mad about how the last couple of days went for Ashby. He pitched in a 9-0 game and then took a liner off the hand. It's like, okay, well, we didn't need to use him there. And then today, it's like he threw 40 pitches 2 days ago. You're putting him out there in leverage, which I like. I want more Ashby in leverage, but not less than 48 hours after he threw 40 pitches and took a line drive off the hands. So some of those pitchers are going to get better and worse as the year goes along. But as this team stands right now, both starting and relief pitching, it's a really, really, really deep group with a lot of arms and options that you really, really like. And I wonder, like, now compared to 2 weeks ago, do the folks in the Brewers front office feel maybe like fans like me and Ron do, or it's like, I wasn't really all that bought in on this team. I wasn't really all that impressed with this team. Just kind of your run-of-the-mill scrappy Brewers team. But I tell you, the pitching they have, starting and relief, and it's not just at the top end, it's depth. And if you're in a 3-game wildcard series, you'd have to line it up a certain way, but you could have Peralta, Misiorowski, Woodruff. This feels very 2021-ish again. Like, I like the relief. I like the starting pitching a lot. The question is going to be offense. And Big Ron about just getting through the first round. Maybe you got to do something like they did in 2008, where it's like, we just need to make the playoffs. So they sell the farm for Sabathia. I don't think they're going to sell the farm, but maybe you make a trade where it's like, we just need to win a round. Being a Brewers fan really is quite the experience. We'll come back, talk about specifically what happened today. I don't really know how the Brewers won this game. What a hilarious win and a freebie win and a kick to the store. A kick to the Dodgers while they were already down. They had already lost the first 2 games of this series. So more Brewers talk next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Really great to see, and we played really good defense. Monastero made a really nice play in the sixth, and Vaughn made a nice play in the sixth, and it just everybody kind of came together, and that was good. And our relief pitching after that, Koenig, Uribe, and McGill, that's real good. That's as good as Koenig's thrown the ball in a while, and what can you say? Uribe and McGill have been great. McGill really underrated.
One more time, that's Murphy from last night. And I like that soundbite because he's not just talking about Miz, although he did compliment Miz plenty in his post-game avail last night. But Koenig was unbelievable. And Abner looked as good as we've seen him look last night. And McGill not only was excellent last night, he was excellent again today in the 10th when he needed to be, because you have that runner that starts on second base. You don't have a couple of outs to work with. And closers like McGill, like, they understand, they operate in a way where it's like, okay, if I walk a guy or if I give up a single, it's not the end of the world because I make my bones on strikeouts anyways. So if I give up one hit or even two hits or a hit and a walk, but I strike out three of the 5 hitters that I face, it's not going to result in runs. Changes a little bit when there's automatically a runner on second base to start the inning. So really impressive from McGill today. It's not just Misiorowski. It's Misiorowski and Koenig and McGill and Uribe and Quintana today. Oh, and all of a sudden, I know it's just one start, but Brandon Woodruff was back on Sunday, and that looked a lot like Brandon Woodruff. So not only do the Brewers continue to play really well, but now they're playing well, and they're playing well in a way where it's like, okay, wait a minute. So you have this surplus of starting pitching. You have more good options than you know what to do with. You have lots of good options in the bullpen. And I still don't think somebody like Aaron Ashby has reached his final form. I don't know about DL Hall. I'm not entirely sure, but I think Aaron Ashby by the end of the year might be one of their best leverage relievers, certainly against lefties because his stuff is so nasty. He had 100 today. Looked a little fatigued, because he pitched 2 innings in a meaningless game less than 48 hours ago. I just think this pitching staff, starting and relieving, is coming together and performing in a way where it's like, I think you guys have to go get a shortstop. You can't sit around and let Joey Ortiz watch strike 1, watch strike 2, swing it, ball 2 that was up at his ear. Okay, well, fine. We'll play Monasterio. Okay, look, I like Monasterio fine for what he is. And he made a great play at third last night to throw out Ohtani at the plate. That was one of my favorite plays of the year. But these are not serious options, or at least they shouldn't be for a team that has this amount of pitching, caliber of pitching, all the different options, the depth of pitching. I just feel like you can't keep doing this with Ortiz. And if you're going to bench Ortiz, fine, but the option can't be Monasterio. It just can't be like players who got at bats today. God only knows how the Brewers won this game. Bowers, Vaughn, Ortiz got 2. And I believe struck out in both. Let me check. Yes, he did. Once with the bases loaded. How lovely was that? Siegler, Monasterio. You would think, the Brewers beat the Dodgers. Well, certainly their best players contributed greatly. Frelick, Ofer, Contreras, Ofer. Nice situational at bat in the 10th. I'll give him credit. And Churio was Ofer until the 10th when he singled in the winning run, which counts. I'm not taking that away from him, but like I watched this whole game, before the show started. The show started just, I think, at the top of the 9th. So I sat here all afternoon watching the game, and I'm like, let's just wrap this up. Like, none of you guys are putting the lumber to the ball today, which was a bummer for how well Quintana pitched. Another concern or complaint that I have about today's game, I guess, is Quintana gave you 6 innings and only gave up a couple of hits, 2 hits, and one of them was like an infield hit. It was just soft contact to the right of Ortiz, just didn't have time to throw it across. He lost a little bit of control there in the 5th. Okay, worked through it. But Quintana was excellent. 95 pitches, 8 innings. So you think, okay, you shouldn't have to completely and totally use up your bullpen. Why is it that Ashby, Mears, Anderson, Koenig, Uribe, McGill all had to pitch? Like there just has to be a better way to navigate that. So even in a day where the Brewers offense didn't really have it, Pat Murphy was kind of doing some Pat Murphy things, you were still able to beat the Dodgers, who have not been playing well. I believe they've lost 6 in a row. They've lost 6 in a row. They were swept by the Astros, just got swept by the Brewers. And they'll still win probably 100 games, and probably because they're the Dodgers. But specifically today, I'm like, yeesh. Yeah, you guys are down bad if you're losing a game like that. Coyote Mike says, Grant, I like the Miz. Lots of good bravado. That's a good word. They showed Kershaw and Woodruff and Miz visiting before today's game in the outfield. I did see that. And if you missed last night, Kershaw before the game kind of talking about how he kind of knew who Misiorowski was, but didn't really say too much. And then Misiorowski said this after the game.
Great to see, and we played really good.
So that's Pat Murphy, like I was saying, Todd Rosiak and Misiorowski.
What was it like today matching up against the future Hall of Famer there in Kershaw?
Yeah, I mean, you have all the respect in the world to face Kershaw and, the 3,000 Ks. It's awesome to see a guy like that and match up against him. But, I saw something on online that he didn't know who I was, so I hope that he knows me now, kind of cool. But, it is what it is.
I would call that bravado. I think that's a good work, Coyote Mike. Thank you. A text from Adam in Mondovi. 2025 Packers magnet schedules are now at Fleet Farm. This is big time. Snagged one for you and sent it off today. Should be there by Friday. I bet. Have a good one. Thank you, Adam. That means it's official. Once we get our fridge magnet from Fleet Farm. I was at Fleet Farm on Sunday. Oh, I hate myself if I missed it. I couldn't have missed it. I'm better than that, right? If they were sitting on the checkout, I would have seen it. I hope so. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. It's almost officially Packers season as soon as the fridge magnet gets hung up. And as Vagabond John called in earlier, he had a complaint about offense, defense, and we've done that whole thing before. Maybe we'll do that in hour number 2. I also have a little bit of Bucks audio to play for you when we come back. Don't want to dwell on it, but I think it's newsworthy and something that we should at least pick at a little bit. I'll take more of your Brewers calls as well. And as we get some of our affiliates to drop off the Brewers postgame and join us in the 5 o'clock hour, we can have one big Brewers post-series, post-game reaction show. Throw open the phones wide open and take some of your calls. We'll break a little early here because I have some audio I want to get to on the other side of this break as we wrap up hour number 1.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Losing Myles Turner is a significant loss for our team. I mean, the guy's been a terrific player. He had a great season. And look, we were talking to them, or talking to them, meaning his agent, about him returning. And, really kind of out of nowhere, Milwaukee decided to waive Damian Lillard and stretch his money out over whatever number of years you could do it by rule. And then they created space to sign Myles. And so I think what probably happened, and this is part of negotiation in any sport, a team will say, hey, look, we have this offer. It's this much over this many years. But if we make this offer, we need to know that you're going to take it and not shop it. I believe that that's what probably happened with Milwaukee. They just jumped at it, and there's never a chance to counter. Those things happen. And when they do, you just got to keep going.
That's Rick Carlisle, I think on Chris Long's Green Light podcast, where I clipped that from earlier today. Sometimes the last segment of the hour, they're like, hey, this is something I saw today. Don't need to do a half hour on it, but it's kind of an interesting little piece of the backstory about how Myles Turner ended up in Milwaukee versus Indiana. Probably a good tactic by Milwaukee, saying, hey, we have this fat contract right here. You can sign it, but you're not taking it around and asking, you want it or not. Make the guy turn down all that money. I like that. Plus, I just like hearing people related to the Pacers, whether it's Kevin Pritchard or, in that case, Rick Carlisle. I just like hearing them. Well, here's what happened. Milwaukee, they did that thing with Dame. Like, yeah, correct. They did. That's how they ended up with Myles Turner. Little breaking Brewers news as we react to their win yesterday. Trevor McGill is now an all-star. Apparently, Pat Murphy sharing it with with a gaggle of Brewers reporters after the game and the Brewers account officially tweeting it out as well. I would say pretty worthy. It's funny because the last 2 weeks or so, I think people have been nitpicking a little bit. Again, like, oh, well, sometimes he walks guys. Well, occasionally he does. The last couple of nights, not at all. Last night was unbelievable. And then today in the 10th needed to be even better because that ghost runner starts on second base. And you don't have the luxury of, well, if I give up a single, it's not going to kill me. Or if I walk someone, it's not going to kill me. Normally in a clean ninth inning, a pitcher like McGill can operate that way. Because he's like, well, if I put somebody on, it's fine. I'll probably come back and strike the next guy out anyways. Right? People aren't going to string together hits against me for the most part. Not the case in extra innings when you have that hitter who starts at second base. I keep going back to this sound from Mark DeRosa and MLB Central yesterday, and I think this is the big thing to discuss today. I think this is the big ticket thing that we should talk about and kick around. That's such a good clap, by the way.
I need the owner of the Brewers to go out and Lamby Lane do a few things because this team's willing to fight for you and your city. They're willing to fight.
So I don't know about like willing to fight for your city. Okay, sure. That's a nice, sentiment. That gets me charged up. Don't get me wrong. I'm more concerned about this pitching staff. Like I just saw our friend Sam Ulber, who does Locked On Cubs. He's he was tweeting through Brewers Dodgers today. And he pointed out like Woodruff and Misiorowski sustaining. I think is going to be a big part of this. This is what he was saying. I think it's a great point. Like if Woodruff is the guy we saw on Sunday and Misiorowski continues to be the guy that we've seen, let's say in 3 out of his 4 starts, this team is a real contender. This is a real legit team. If Woodruff's just fine and or Misiorowski comes back down to earth, it's a little different. I still think they're very solid. That's a team that could still win 90 games if some things break right and their offense maintains. Yelich stays healthy. Churio has a better second half than the first half, those sorts of things. But I wouldn't consider that team to be a contender. If Woodruff is that version of Woodruff and Misiorowski continues to be the guy that we've seen, like, yeah, that's a team that could contend. Will they be favored in a playoff series against the Dodgers? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not the point. Could they upset the Dodgers in a 7-game series? Could they upset, a team like the Mets in a 3-game series? Yeah, with this pitching, not just starting pitching, but with the bullpen and the depth in that bullpen. Yeah, I think so. 100%. I think that's the takeaway from today's game. I think that's the takeaway from last night's game. I mean, Quintana might not even be part of the Brewers' long-term plans. Did you watch him today? He was great. He has a way that's a little different than Misiorowski or Woodruff or Freddie Peralta. He's not going to rack up strikeouts and pitch with the same, kind of tenor. But 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Yeah. That'll play. Is there value in Quintana for another team? Could you package Quintana and maybe a prospect to go to shortstop? Because I tell you what, I watched Joey Ortiz hit twice today. He's a great defensive shortstop, and I think the talent's there. That does not work. It just doesn't work. Like, you can't consistently watch strike 1 and strike 3 as a 9-hitter, strike 1 and strike 2, and then swing at strike 3 when it's up by your eyeballs. It's a non-starter. And the only option they have other than him, because, again, they didn't really do anything in the offseason in terms of shortstops or third baseman, is Monasterio, who's also not the answer. Sorry. No matter how badly the Brewers organization seems to want him to be. 608-321-1670, talking Brewers, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Oh, it's Matt in Cross Plains.
Oh, a ball knower. A Cubs fan, but a true ball knower. You are, Matt in Cross Plains.
Somewhat. I've been paying a lot of attention. The Brewers, they're just really pesky. I watched the whole game today at work because it was kind of slow, so it was a good walk-off victory.
What do you do for work? Are you an air traffic controller?
Yeah, exactly. I was landing lots of planes
sure,
today,
okay.
especially the F-35.
No,
I'm an operations. I work in TV, Grant. Come on.
I knew that. I was cracking wise. Well, what did you think? You're a discerning eye as a Cubs fan, the other side of this rivalry. What did you see watching the Brewers today?
I mean, again, like it seems like every year, to me, the pitching for the Brewers always just seems to come around, and then they don't score a lot of runs. Albeit Andrew Vaughn just is, starting his career with the Brewers, doing well, and Yelich is playing well, and Frelick even hit a home run yesterday. So I mean, once again, they got to add a bat to get rid of Ortiz. I think I think they got to figure out how to put all their eggs in a basket, because with Misiorowski, Peralta, Quintana, their rotation is really damn good, and the bullpen has been okay. So that's
just okay.
Bullpen arm, they're good, but
what about your bullpen? Porter Hodge melted down last night.
Yeah, he had a hip impingement. I don't even know why they brought him back off the IL in the first place. He was pitching injured. I'm not sure, unless they just don't think they have any other guys in the pen. But anyway,
what did you make of Council's comment yesterday saying he's never managed a bullpen this good before?
I think he's just playing to the reporters and Chicago fans.
Oh yeah, Craig. He's Mr. Play to the media and the fans. That's his bag, Matt. Come on, you don't think that.
Well, I think he's just very happy with what he's got with Flexen and Pomeranz, and of course he managed Pomeranz before, and there's rumors out there that Cubs want to get Hauser from the White Sox, because he managed him before. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. He likes his old Brewer guys, is what I guess he's trying to say.
I suppose. I mean, Pomeranz, Hauser's a throwback. Pomeranz feels like an ancient throwback. I can't believe that he's still playing baseball, let alone doing it at a high level.
Yeah, and him and Brazier and Presley too. They're starting to pitch good, but we'll see how the new guy does today. Ethan Roberts, he's a retread. Not the greatest pen guy, but got a lot of spin rate in his sweeper or slider.
Spin rate and horizontal break and all these things. Matt, that's a great call. I appreciate it. I did see the Adrian Hauser rumors were afoot. Now, for those of you watching on the live stream, I don't think you're gonna be able to hear this, so I apologize. This is a clip that 670 The Score put out. It's Lawrence Holmes and Matt Spiegel. So Parkins and Spiegel used to be Holmes replaced Parkins. Here they are talking about Adrian Hauser and how there might be more than one team, not just the Cubs, but others, in fact, possibly interested in Adrian Hauser, who's currently on the White Sox and playing very well. I even read that he threw up in the dugout today. So he is totally ready to be on a contender.
And I'll tell
So that's Lawrence Holmes saying it would make sense for the Brewers to explore Adrian Hauser. They have like 4 Adrian Hausers on the team already. They just had to trade away an Adrian Hauser to the White Sox because they're like, I guess we could put you in the pen. Okay. Oh, you want to be traded? Thank God. Okay. Yeah, send him anywhere. Who cares? Go get Andrew Vaughn, who tied the game in the 9th today, by the way. So again, for those of you watching on live stream, I'm sorry, you wouldn't have been able to hear that, but that was from 670 The Score earlier today. Lawrence Holmes being like, Adrian Hauser, the White Sox, pretty good. The Cubs might make sense, but I tell you, it might make sense for the Brewers too. No, it doesn't. The Brewers don't need him. The Brewers need a shortstop that can tell the difference between their ass and a hole in the ground. That's what the Brewers need. They don't need starting pitching. The Brewers might not even need relief pitching. They just need a serious shortstop who can go up there and swing at strikes, because Joey Ortiz had an issue again with that today. Pat Murphy pulled him. Pinch hit for him with Siegler later on in the game. He watched him strike out twice and said, that's enough. So the same issues that we saw over the weekend with Ortiz were abundantly clear in today's game. Abundantly clear. I just think this team, the pitching is too good. Starting rotation and the bullpen are both too deep. You need a real shortstop. You can get by with Durbin at third base. You can't get by with Joey Ortiz at shortstop, or you shouldn't try to. You'd be doing a disservice to the pitching staff and to the players and the fans of this team. We'll take a 2-minute update, get an update, a sports update from Zach Heilpern, and then we'll come back, take more of your Brewers calls in hour number 2.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers finished off a 3-game sweep of the Dodgers this afternoon in dramatic fashion as Jackson Chourio delivered a walk-off single in the 10th inning for a 3-2 win. Milwaukee got to extra innings thanks to Andrew Vaughn. He came through with a game-tying single in the 9th. Then the Brewers turned to Trevor McGill, who struck out the side in the 10th before Chourio's heroics. It was a well-pitched game by both sides most of the way, especially the starters. Jose Quintana went 6 innings, allowing just 1 run on 2 hits. He did strike out and walk 4, but manager Pat Murphy turned to Aaron Ashby in the 7th inning. He proceeded to load the bases with just 1 out before Nick Mears replaced him. He was able to limit the damage to 1 run, but that did give the Dodgers a 2-1 lead. On LA's side of things, Tyler Glasgow gave up just 1 run over 5 innings before the bullpen was unable to finish the deal. The win moved the Brewers to a season-high 13 games over 500 and left them within 2 games of the first-place Cubs in the NL Central. Chicago plays later tonight. Milwaukee will get tomorrow off before opening up the final series before the All-Star break on Friday against Washington at home.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Wisconsin State Fair. As a thank you for your support, they're giving away State Fair tickets. Visit ruralmutual.com/win and enter to win State Fair tickets.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, we're getting closer and closer to Packers training camp. They're going to get things going 2 weeks from today up in Green Bay with the first of 14 practices that are going to be open to the public. And Wisconsin going to take part in Big Ten Media Days in that same time period out in Las Vegas before they open fall camp in Platteville the following week. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Jacob Misiorowski, congratulations. What a win, what a performance. 12 strikeouts for you, and you shut down the Los Angeles Dodgers here. How did you settle in after the leadoff home run to Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, I mean, it's Shohei, so, I mean, you expect it, but, you know, I just had to settle in, do my stuff, and play my game.
Jacob, what was the difference? Congrats on your first Gatorade shower.
Thank you. It's colder than I expected.
The kid has elevated his game to another level. Giving up the leadoff home run, it's like getting knocked down in the first round. He's one of the best hitters in the game, and he leaves a breaking ball up, gives up a homer, got back up, and battled.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
A little bit more from last night. I don't have audio from after this game. Today, the Brewers walked it off. One of the funnier Brewer games I've watched in a while. I tell you all the time, like, sports just aren't happy and sad. It's not just that you get happy when your team wins and sad when they lose. Like, you listed all sorts of emotions. Today's game was actually quite annoying to watch. I did not enjoy it for long stretches. And then they won, and I'm like, oh, that's just funny. Like, the Dodgers, you telling me the Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Glasnow on the mound today. You couldn't win that. You couldn't win that one. Your closer rested. 1-run lead in the 9th. You couldn't slam the door. You friggin' losers. And of course, they're going to win 100 games and probably make the World Series. That's cool. But for today and for the last couple of days, they've lost 6 in a row. And the Brewers have now really set themselves up, hopefully, for a restful off day for a lot of their arms who went tomorrow. And then one successful weekend series, maybe take 2 or 3 against the Nationals and feel really good going into the All-Star break. Get that bullpen some rest. And I think the Brewers have to start thinking upstairs about getting a shortstop for this team. And I like Joey Ortiz just fine, I suppose. This team needs better. The starting rotation needs better, and this bullpen needs better. And the way that Christian Yelich has been playing needs better. Sal Frelick has been playing, needs better. I'd say Contreras, but he took the collar today and looks as bad as ever. I know he's catching at a high level. Okay, sure. I suppose. I mean, Andrew Vaughn's come in and instantly added more than Rhys Hoskins ever has. Like, this team is, with their pitching, in such a spot where it's like, yeah, I think this team could be a contender, but you need an actual shortstop. You can get by with Terang's offense at second and Durbin at third, but you need an actual legitimate shortstop. Jerry tweets in at Wisco Grand, and you can do the same. You can call and text 608-321-1670. Jerry says, if you get a power hitting second or third baseman, would you move Durbin and Terang? I suppose you could. And sometimes you have to do such things at the deadline. Like, well, we didn't really have a third baseman that we liked, but I tell you what, we got Mike Moustakas and we can put him here and do that. The Brewers have done that in the past. I'd really like to avoid, if at all possible, moving Terang. He's just so good at second. I don't really want to jack up his game. And who knows who's available? Like, do the Red Sox end up selling Bregman? I'm interested in that. That would be a lot of money for the rest of the season, but no long-term contract. I think he has an opt-out after this year. I think he's a player option. That's a player that could be entertaining. But then what do you do? Do you move, like, for example, like along with what Jerry's saying, do you move Terang to short, play Bregman at third, and then move Durbin to second? Well, that makes me a little nervous. But a player like Bregman is legit. That's a Gold Glove third baseman and a high-level proven playoff performer to boot, too, in the middle of your order. And you need someone in the middle of your order because Contreras isn't cutting the mustard because he's got a broken hand, which you'd think it was a broken leg the way that he's running to first base nowadays. I should give Contreras some credit. He blocked a ton of pitches in that 6th and 7th inning when there was a lot of traffic on the bags, like great defensively, calling good games. He elevated a pitch to right field, moved the ghost runner over in the bottom of the 10th. So not all bad. I think it's just pent up frustration with Contreras because if he was healthy and playing at the level that I know he's capable, this team is legit as hell. But really their power threats right now are limited to Churio, who hasn't flexed it as much. He's, had a nice week. He had a good weekend in Miami, but still we haven't really seen him reach the heights we saw him reach last year. And Yelich, who's a little older and injury prone, and I still think far from perfect. Like if Aaron Judge was your only power threat, you're like, oh, okay, well, we can find a way. Yelich isn't quite on that level like he used to be in 18 and 19, although I have been, for the most part, pleased with him. Yeah, breaking news. I got a text 608-321-1670. You can call that number you want to talk Brewers. Trevor McGill has been added to the all-star roster. He has. I think he's deserving. I see some Brewers fans like, what the hell? If there's any group that takes something for granted, it's Brewers fans and closers. Like, McGill's been really good. Yeah, sometimes he walks a guy. A lot of closers do. Sometimes sometimes it's a little closer than you'd like. But Brewers fans aren't happy with a closer unless they're absolutely perfect every single time, and those guys don't really exist. The closest they come to existing are in Milwaukee, between Hader and Williams and now McGill. We just took a year off last year from having an all-star closer. Just 1 year reprieve, and they might have had it last year if Devin Williams hadn't been injured for the first portion of the season. I saw Bob Nightingale tweet just a little bit ago, and I think it speaks to the state of the Brewers and the way they operate. Another year, another Milwaukee Brewers closer makes the all-star team. This time, Trevor McGill. He's been great, and look no further than the last 2 games, last night and today. He was unbelievable last night. He was better today, and he needed to be with that ghost runner. Excuse me. If you want to talk Brewers, I think some of our affiliates that caught the end of that Brewer game, whether it be WK2Y in La Crosse or WAYY up in Eau Claire, WNAM up in Marinette, 608-321-1670. I want to hear a little bit from Murph on Misiorowski last night. I still think that's the story today. I know they walked it off today and got a little greedy. Don't get me wrong. But I think the story is last night, Misiorowski, the performance of the bullpen, and I want to get a little bit from Pat Murphy on that. The problem is at the beginning of this presser, there's a little introducing of new people in the room, and I just want to skip that. Not that it's not entertaining, but it's not really additive to what we're doing here.
Go ahead.
Murph, yesterday you talked about Freddie's confidence and how
you're asking the first question. You're an intern.
Big swings.
Big swing.
Let McCalvy go. Just everyone let McCalvy go first.
I don't like big swings because big swings, there's a lot more effort, right? More effort in big swings instead of staying what? Short, direct to the ball, square it up, right? Big swings, pass. Next question.
There we go.
Strikeouts, I think 2 or 3 were on the fastball. The rest was secondary stuff. Did that stand out to you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the kid again has elevated his game to another level. Like giving up the leadoff home run. It's like getting knocked down in the first round. You got to stand up and here's one of the best hitters in the game, and he leaves a breaking ball up. didn't finish it, gives up a homer, and wow, it's like taking a stiff one in the first round. And then he got back up, took a standing 8, got back up, and battled. And we normally could have taken him out in the 6th, but his stuff just ticked up in the 6th, and we're like, keep him in. And he went through the heart of the order 3rd time, and that's not easy against a team like this. So hats off to him and to William, the job he did, and it's just really great to see. And we played really good defense. Monastero made a really nice play in the 6th, and Vaughn made a nice play in the 6th, and it just everybody kind of came together, and that was good. And our relief pitching after that, Koenig, Uribe, and McGill, that's real good.
I saw, let's pause it here and we can continue here in a sec. I enjoy, as a viewer of baseball, I have enjoyed the last 2 games, that the starting pitcher was allowed to finish the 6th or go back. First of all, go back out for the 6th. But then when there's a little hiccup, both Misiorowski last night and then Quintana today were allowed opportunities or given the opportunity to close the 6th. That's fun. I don't know if mathematically it was smart. Misiorowski got the benefit last night of some really good defense behind him. That play from Monasterio was wicked. I don't know if that's an advised throw. Ohtani seemed shocked that the ball even came his way based on how he slid. An awesome play by Monasterio, and then Andrew Vaughn at first really making some nice plays over there to help Misiorowski close it out. I enjoy that, for right or for wrong, Murphy didn't say, yep, that's twice through the order, we're going to cut you off there. It's like, well, I suppose mathematically you'd always be vindicated in making decisions like that. I sometimes like it when it's a little different. I like it, well, tonight we thought best to call it here, and then on a different night you can say, yeah, there was something in his eye, there was something going on that just felt like leaving him out there, giving him a chance was the right decision. And last night and today both, proved to be the correct decision. Not that it, the bullpen still got worked pretty hard today, but with an off day tomorrow and then the All-Star break looming, probably not the biggest deal in the world. The Ashby usage today was maybe the biggest bee in the bonnet for me. The rest of it made enough sense, I suppose. I think Ashby just probably should have been down today. I like using him in leverage, but I don't like using him in leverage when he's not rested, because you used him in mop up garbage time 2 games ago. Not even 48 hours ago. It was night game, day game. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant. What a win.
Cone.
What a series.
Oh, it's an excellent win. I think last night's one of my favorite Brewer games of the season. And today was kind of fun too, but that felt more like a freebie. Last night was a battle.
Yeah, today was house money. Yesterday, watching Miz work. I mean, I think one of those Shohei at-bats was like 3-5 minutes long. That was fun to watch.
Yeah. You could feel the energy. I like it because we don't get enough of that in baseball or in basketball when these seasons are long. Sometimes the players, they know the season's long, but I like it even in a regular season game where hitter and pitcher realize this means a little bit more. Let's crank it up and really go for this year. I enjoyed that a lot.
And that's why the Brewers will always trump the Bucks in terms of, state eyeballs.
I think so. Yeah.
Invested in this team. So I think you are selling this roster a little short, though. Like, I heard you on Into the Winklerverse podcast saying they're a few players away from being a player or 2 away.
I did say that, yeah.
I really think, you put one big bat, maybe a bullpen arm, and, similar moves to what we saw in 2018, and you're right there.
One big, beautiful bat like Alex Bregman at third. Maybe. And look, I think my opinion of the Brewers, fair or unfair, smart or dumb, in the last 24 hours changed greatly. Okay, if Misiorowski's really going to be that guy and this bullpen is really going to be that good, and then Woodruff on Sunday, I think over the last week I've gone from, what's the use to, actually, this pitching staff might be that damn good. One big bat might make all the difference in the world. So I'm coming around to kind of what you're saying here, Cone.
Yeah, let's lobby Matt Arnold to get the BBB passed, the big beautiful bat. I think there could be a lot of support for that.
One big beautiful bat. It seems like Ortiz is not going to cut the mustard. And Murphy benched him for 2 games, and then today we saw in 2 at-bats Ortiz basically do the exact thing that Murphy says can't happen. So he either can't do it or he won't do it. I don't know. If this team was at 500, I wouldn't really care. I'd say, well, Ortiz isn't the bat of the future. It's short. What's the difference anyways? But this pitching staff is ready to win now. And you got some veterans like Yelich and Contreras and others on this team. I think this team maybe should go for a big, beautiful bat. I like that, Cone. Let's start drawing up that legislation.
Oh, don't ask me twice.
Thanks, Cone. I appreciate it. That's a good call. And I believe Cone, I saw some tweets, may have been up north, so I missed him for about a week. I miss when Cone has long absences. Good for him when he's traveling or on vacation. I understand that not everybody goes on vacation and continues to call a sports talk show. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hi, Grant. How are you today?
I am excellent, Coyote Mike. I'm thinking that the urgency needs to be cranked up a couple of notches with this Brewers team, which is what you texted in like right when the show started. We were thinking along the same lines.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 100 degrees out here. Jeez, but it's a dry heat. So,
well, of course, yeah.
You know, I'm not the world's greatest at arithmetic, but the Brewers just played their 94th game.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 68 games left.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go over that like several times. And it just seems like it should be 80 some games, you know? But
like the schedule's a little unbalanced. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it just seems, actually what it is, it's just going by so fast. You know, before you know it, it's going to be the All-Star break and, you know, football starts and it's just going to be a blur going into late August and September with the Brewers. And if they keep it up, I sent you a text. I looked it up back on March 27th and I picked them to win 95 games again this year.
Bold.
And yeah. And, that means they have to win 39 out of the next 68 games. I believe that's right.
Gotcha. So you like them to stay on this pace. I mean, they probably should. They're getting better. Their pitching staff is getting healthier and deeper as we go.
Yeah, so that means that they would have to go 39 and 29. Can they do that? I mean, they got some tough series coming up. You know, they go out to LA again, and
getting 3 against the Dodgers in this series goes a long way in helping that. You know what I mean?
Sure does.
Those are just 3 wins that you can't count on.
I was really disappointed in seeing Ortiz too. I thought, you know, he at least would come in and show some more savvy at the plate there, and just kind of just standing there watching those 2 pitches go right down the pipe, and it's like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
You know, you need to swing the ball. And if Yelich can get more timely, you know, he just kind of seems hot and cold. You know, when they need the big hit, sometimes he comes up with it. You know, a lot of times, no. And I say if he could just, I don't know what to make of him. You know, he's a good guy. I like him, but he just sometimes seems a little too mild mannered, like, you know, like Clark Kent.
Like
you know,
Clark
maybe he
Kent.
just. Yeah, he could be Superman if he could ever really uncork it and stay on track.
Yeah,
I'm with you with getting another bat. Somebody's got to step up or step in.
Well, this is the thing, Coyote Mike, and this is the reason they probably need a big, beautiful bat. Is like Yelich is very good, and when he hits the Brewers win, he can't be the only thing. Like he can't be the only win con they have offensively, win condition. Like you need a little insulation around him. And normally that would be Contreras, but with the broken hand, that complicates matters a bit. You say Churio, but he's 21. So you take what you can get there. And I think his second half will be better than his first. But one more bat, one more big, beautiful bat, probably make a little bit of a difference. Let's take another call. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, Jeremy, no clear. How's it going,
what's
brother?
up, Jeremy? It's going excellent. What do you think?
Awesome. Oh man, I'm telling you, how about this series? Like if you listen to these games, this 3-game series, and if this didn't do it for you, like you have no soul. I'm convinced of that.
Especially
like,
last night. Like I think that might go down as one of my favorite Brewers games from this season.
I'm telling you, like I agree with the guys that were on the call last night. They said that strikeout of Ohtani, he's like, that was worth the price of admission right there. To give up that homer and then just come back and then do that. I'm like, yeah, this kid's gold. But yeah, no, the last time we talked, I think I had mentioned that. I was like, boy, you know, we're so close and we need just that one bat. I think that's it.
Big beautiful bat.
Yeah. And you know, and that's why we were kind of talking about, you know, I know there was a narrative about third and this and that. And I'm like, boy, I wonder if we didn't upgrade from Willy Adames at short, and if Ortiz is not going to cut the mustard, like as you had previously mentioned, I think that's where I was all along. I'm like, why don't we just improve it short? Why can't, I mean, I get it at this point in the season, like who you going to get. But if we could find somebody that could do that, I mean, how about Wild Thing Vaughn, by the way? Like Vaughn. Like,
Yeah.
I had to make a major league.
Couple
reference
timely
there,
hits and some really good defensive plays last night too, Jeremy. Like Hoskins is a fine defender at first, and he can, punch above his weight here and there. But Vaughn's done a couple things in his first few games with the Brewers where I've thought, I don't know that I would have counted on Hoskins to make that play or to make that hit.
Yeah, and I mean, in his bat, that's the thing that's impressing me is like he's consistently doing like clutch things with the bat. I mean, he's not crushing them out of the park left and right, but I mean, he's there. I mean, he's got power, and he's putting them where it needs to be. So I don't know, like, but I agree with you. I do agree with you. Like, I just think we're just that one big beautiful bat away.
It's fun. This is gonna be a thing, Jeremy. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna tell this to Ebo tomorrow, and he's gonna sink his teeth into that like. So apologies to people who are going to have to deal with that again and over the line tomorrow, because I know Evo's going to grab onto that and not let go. Yeah, I think it's time to make shortstop great again. A big, beautiful bat. I think it goes a long way for this team. I'll continue to take your Brewers calls next. Some of your texts and comments on the live stream as well at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I need the owner of the Brewers to go out and Lamby Lane do a few things, because this team's willing to fight for you and your city. They're willing to fight.
One more time, Mark DeRose. I'm going to keep hammering you over the head with that soundbite because it gets at the idea of today's show. After seeing what we saw from Brandon Woodruff, what we continue to see from Miz, this bullpen, Quintana today, who might not even be in the Brewers' long-term plans towards the end of the year. They have Nestor Cortez, Chad Patrick's hanging around. Got lots of depth, got lots of options. Does this pitching staff almost demand the Brewers front office to go acquire, as we've been now saying, one big, beautiful bat? Duncan Holman texts in, says, Vaughn just needs one big, beautiful hat. Yeah, just a hat of any kind, man. Cover that thing up. And for everyone who says he just needs to go bald, I don't think he can. His skull is shaped too weird. It's too wide. He looks like the small one from Pinky and the Brain. I'm not familiar other than the pictures. I don't know which one's Pinky. I would assume the one with the big-ass head is the Brain. Just wear a hat. It's for all of us. Please, one big, beautiful hat. 608-321-1670. Taking your thoughts on the Brewers win last night, which I think is more significant than the Brewers win today. Today was a little bit like a freebie. The Dodgers are really struggling, and the Brewers took advantage. More from you. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this? Hello? Is this second cousin Mike?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. Are you in a bad spot?
All right. No, I came to the top of the hill now. I should be good. I'm just checking out the Chippewa.
The top of the hill. I love Wisconsin. All right, yeah, now we got you. What's going on, Mike?
Well, first of all, don't talk about Bill's heads. I've never found anybody that's got a bigger head than our family.
Yeah, we do have large heads. I just think it's easier. It's very easy to tell someone else to just go bald. It's easy to say when it's not your hair and not your head, you know. And Vaughn, the hair isn't good, but the skull underneath, it's not like there's a big, beautiful skull under there. I think he's kind of porked either way. Just wear a hat. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's hard when you have a head this size. It's hard to find a hat.
I suppose. But hey, he's certainly been contributing more than Rhys Hoskins. I'm very pleased with what Vaughn has brought to the table, considering they traded nothing for him because Savali seemed like he was going to be done here anyways.
Absolutely. So I want to make Milwaukee great again, and let's go get a big, beautiful bat.
A big, beautiful bat. Oh my God. So
my God, we've got our pitching. I've never seen anything like this.
It is something, and I was floored by Woodruff on Sunday, Mike. That looked like Brandon. It looked like he never left, and we need to see a little bit more, from him to see exactly what he's going to be this year. If he's going to be able to maintain, or how teams are going to choose to attack him coming off of this long absence. But if that's the Woodruff that we get, or man, if Misiorowski continues to pitch like this, you kind of have to go get a big, beautiful bat.
Yeah, and wasn't it the game we were at in the NLCS when Woodruff hit the home run off Kershaw?
Yeah.
At Milwaukee?
Yeah. And they were together. It was Woodruff, Misiorowski, and Kershaw who were kind of chatting it up on the field today. And I'm like, man, there's some memories and different generations of baseball coming together there. That was kind of a cool sight I saw in the pregame.
Yeah, I'm sure Woodruff would like to be hitting again, but no, you just take care of your arm.
Yeah, well, right. He doesn't need to Jimmy Nelson himself sliding back into first base. I appreciate it. Secondhand, Mike. I love Wisconsin. Like, the connection sucks, and then you say, well, I just got to the top of the hill. I should be good now. And he was. Damn it. Just one bat to help this lineup. Are we going to become an Alex Bregman show for a couple of days? I haven't seen exactly what the Red Sox have been up to. They've been beating up on some lesser opponents. I don't know what their next, let's say, 2 weeks look like. I'm not entirely sure. The Red Sox are a team. The Red Sox try to be the Brewers. They're like, we're going to be smart and we're going to develop guys, even though they're not very smart and they're not great at developing guys. I know they have like Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony and a bunch of talent, but I just don't think they have their stuff together the same way that the Brewers do. The Red Sox will spend a bit more. Like, they extended Crochet and they didn't sign Bregman. But if they're looking to sell Bregman as a rental for the next couple of months, like, I'm in. Like, I'll take him if he could play third, and if you move guys around. I don't know exactly what the Brewers' appetite is for that. I'm not sure. A text from Gordon in La Crosse. Are you saying the Brewers just got lucky sweeping the Dodgers? Would it have been worth it to trade Peralta for Rafael Devers if we knew Miz was going to be this good? Gordon in La Crosse. Well, you're attacking two very different things here. I think the Brewers, no, they didn't get lucky sweeping the Dodgers. That's not what I'm saying. They jumped all over them on Monday. And then yesterday, Misiorowski was dominant, and the bullpen may have been even more dominant. So no, games one and two, they were not lucky. Today, I think if the Dodgers were playing their best or closer to their best type of baseball, the Brewers wouldn't have won today. I mean, they got nothing from Sal, nothing from Contreras, nothing from Churio until the end, nothing really that mattered from Yelich. I know he was on base. The only run that they scored in the first 8 innings of the game was Jake Bauers, who got to second on a balk, stole third, would have been out had the throw been any good. The throw sailed into left field, and then Bauers came home. That was the only run that they scored. So, no, I'm not saying that the Brewers are lucky to get the sweep. I think they were lucky to win today because I think if the Dodgers were playing any better, the Brewers had no business winning today, but you'll take it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. As far as trading Peralta for Rafi Devers, I just don't think that was ever a deal that was on the table. The Red Sox traded Rafi Devers away because they didn't want to pay him anymore. And the Giants were like, sure, we'll take on all that money. So should the Brewers have made a play for Rafael Devers? I don't think they were ever going to be in that because the first requirement of being in the Rafi Devers business is paying Rafi Devers. The Brewers aren't going to do that. And I'm actually fine with them not doing that because he's a full-time DH or a fat infielder and has already shown that he can be a malcontent if you ask him to change spots or you bring in somebody to compete or to play his position even for a short period of time. Peralta for Devers was not going to be a deal that made sense. It would have been like middling prospects, which is what the Red Sox got, and then you have to eat all the money. Devers, no. Bregman, maybe. We might have to cheer against the Red Sox. We might have to hope that the Red Sox sell over the next couple of weeks. We're going to take a 5-minute break here, come back. We'll hear a little bit more from Pat Murphy last night, some really good stuff about Misiorowski, so that's when we get back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
It's the Wisco Sports Show. We could be done with the big, beautiful bat. We could be done with that. Some of you may not like it. I think it's good comedic relief. And it does roll off the tongue. Just say big, beautiful anything. It does kind of roll off the big, beautiful bat. I saw a Brewers account today tweet big, beautiful McGill. Kind of rhymes with Bill. I thought that was funny. Anyways, we will move on. I do want to get back to listening to a little bit of Pat Murphy last night because I think swept the Dodgers today. Yes. Quintana, very good today. Yes, the bullpen did their job and the offense scrapped by the grace of God enough runs together to steal this game in the 10th. Yes. The story of the last 48 hours, and I think the story moving forward into the off day tomorrow and into the Washington series this weekend and into the All-Star game is, holy balls, this team's pitching might be really good. As Woodruff comes back and as Misiorowski continues to prove himself more, does that maybe make the front office feel a little bit more urgent about adding a large, good bat? Not a big, beautiful, just a large, very good bat. Maybe they think a little bit more aggressively about that. So that's the topic, right? Has your urgency changed? Because I can tell you, 2 months ago, I thought this team blew. A month ago, I thought, okay, they're fine, and they're going to do normal Brewers things, but probably not the type of team that you really want to, cash in chips. Well, now, after the last 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, well, maybe the pitching staff is that good, and maybe this is a team that's worth investing a little bit. Season's really been a roller coaster. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Ridge Runner Mark, how are we doing, sir?
Good evening, Ridge Runner. I am well. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. Doing some shopping, getting ready for camping.
Excellent.
I have a question for you about the Brewers pitching staff.
Okay.
Misiorowski, this is his first year up in the majors, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. What would you do if they say, hey, we got him on an inning limit and they make it to the postseason and they have to shut him down? I mean, is that a possibility? Do you know?
No.
How would you feel about that?
No, I don't think. No, I don't. I'm putting that possibility out of my mind.
Fair enough.
Because look, I said this earlier on in the show, and I hope Misiorowski has a long career. But there's a world in which, this is as good as he's going to be. You know what I mean? Throwing 102, 103, you might be getting the best version of him right now. It'd be the same with Yelich in 2018, where it's well, you don't want to go be too aggressive because we have Yelich for how many years? It's okay, but you just never know. So if Misiorowski is best stuff in baseball, really, really good, what are you waiting for? Why are we planning for 2 or 3 years down the road when he's that guy right now? Does that answer your question or concern? I'll take that as a yes. Another satisfied customer. Thank you, Rich Runner. Right back to Pat Murphy from last night. A little bit more on Misiorowski's performance.
I was going to say, Murph, that's 2 runs allowed against the Dodgers in 18 innings so far. I mean,
Yeah, I mean they're not at 100%. They're not at their best. They're not in their best state right now. But maybe we aren't either. So it's like just keep not worrying about that. I mean they're going to be plenty good, and they are plenty good. So can't worry about that stuff. But our pitching staff's been very, very good, and
again, that's the story for me.
This means a lot to them. So.
Mark, how important was that 6th inning just for his development to get into that jam with 2 on and nobody out, to be able to get himself out of it when he's at the end of an outing like that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the maturity we're talking about. That's why we, in the back of my mind, I was like, hey, I want to win this game. But what an experience for Miz to go through this and face Freeman and Pages and, in a big situation. I mean, that's what it's about. And he got the job done. So. Yeah, you feel great for the kid. You feel great for him.
That 6th inning was some of the best baseball you'll see. A hit early on. I can't even remember the exact sequence, but there were runners at the corners. Ohtani walked and then somehow ended up at third, right? Because that was that long battle on the pitch that was just off the inside corner, but Ohtani danced and sold it like Mahomes flopping out of bounds, which again is pathetic if I haven't said that enough times tonight. There's also a chance that he just, with Miz's control and he's throwing 102, maybe he read the pitch and thought it was farther inside and thought it was going to hit him. And if that's the case, I'll lay down this take. But I think he's selling a call, and I think it's pathetic for a player like him. Not the point, right? Monasterio throwing that runner out at home, going over the top, really good play. And then Vaughn making some really good plays over at first base to help close the inning out. That 6th inning last night was excellent baseball. And I think maybe a good example of Misiorowski, like, hey, man, you don't need to try to be perfect to strike out every hitter. If you're inducing soft contact, right, that's a means to an end as well.
After that first Ohtani at bat, he makes that mistake with the curveball. The second time he comes up to go right back at him with that same pitch and execute it. Get him.
And that's Williams' help. That's William understanding. Like, look, you got to know that your curveball's plenty good when you execute it. That's the game. Pitching is not just throwing 100 miles an hour and not having something to go with it. So it's really, he's a pitcher.
Mark, we've talked about Sal and the leadoff spot and just
this is good
to provide us a spark, but the power development for him has kind of been a new thing. Now it's the 7th of the season. Just kind of, what have you seen from him to tap into that more this year?
Let's not talk about Sal and power, okay? He's 5'5" and 155. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Anybody clicks a ball in the front, you know what I mean? If you click a ball, it's going to leave, Let's not start putting that in his head. Do you know what that would do to Sal? Want to keep him right where he is. He's a year away from Brandeis graduate school. You know what I mean?
Or how about the approach against Kershaw in the 4th, stringing all those singles together? And
Yeah, Kershaw was great. You got to say it. He didn't give us anything to hit early, and he rolled through us just like he can. And you start looking around going, wow, he's a veteran. And I was trying to think along with him, and he was a step ahead, and he was really, really good. But guys settled in, and they stayed pretty disciplined all in all.
We talked about this last night. That 4th inning against Kershaw reminded me of that inning they had against Skeens, where it's like, we're going to knuckle down and soft contact you to death. Just make contact and try to string some contact plays together and hope that it works. And it did against Skeens. It worked to a lesser degree against Kershaw last night. They could have had another run, but Vaughn was gunned down trying to get to third. I had a question last night. I can't remember if it was Coyote Mike or Ridge Runner Mark. I can't remember. Where it's like, is this a lineup that can play and can hold its own against even elite pitching? And I said, well, Kershaw's going to be a good example. Skeens was a good example. Their lineup outside of Yelich, Churio, Contreras, and Vaughn, I guess now too, is a lot of guys, Durbin, Turang, Ortiz, Frelick, who make their bones on not striking out. They make contact. They don't whiff. They don't chase. They swing at the right pitches. And when they swing, they make contact. Or they foul it off and they stay alive to keep going. That's how that's how a large portion of this roster, outside of those couple big stars, those bigger bats, have been constructed. And I think that's probably the root of Pat Murphy's frustration with Joey Ortiz. We talked about like the swing percentage. Like he's only swinging at 52, 53% of the pitches in the strike zone recently, this last road trip. And that's awful, obviously. So we could talk about the very, very specific like numbers and tendencies. But in the biggest of big pictures, why Pat Murphy is mad is like, look, man, you're not a guy who rewards us with a ton of home runs and a ton of pop. You are a great defender and someone we expect to put the ball in play. And if you're not going to put the ball in play on top of never hitting home runs and doing all these other things, I have no time for you because it's not going to work. It's not going to fit. And I agree, right? How many times have we seen Ortiz come up in spots where the ball just needs to enter the field of play and he hasn't been able to do it because he's watching fastballs on strike 1 and strike 2 and he's chasing garbage for strike 3. Dom Catronio talked about this last week. He foreshadowed all of this when I said, hey, what's improved with Joey Ortiz? He said he's learned that he's going to get fastballs. He's realized that he's going to get fastballs. He's hitting 8th or 9th. He's hitting 200. No one's working around him. No one's nibbling at the corners. You're getting good pitches, swing, and put the ball in play. And a week ago or 2 weeks ago, he was doing a fine job of that. I still don't know that his swing decisions were perfect, but the results were working out. The swing decisions have gotten worse, and now the results have completely disappeared. As a result, if you're going to build a contact-heavy staff, you can't have a player like Joey Ortiz fail to make contact, or the whole thing kind of starts to struggle because it's contingent on one piece begetting the next. And if that chain dies with runners at second and third and one out, then you're not going to end up scoring and it doesn't work. Here's more from Murph.
Murph, you mentioned Monasterio, but over the last week, this isn't the first time he's kind of come up big. Is he playing himself into a little more?
Yeah, I mean, he's very capable. I think he's playing himself to our roster, you know what I mean? Because he can play 4 infield positions, 2 outfield positions, and maybe 3. And, that's a valuable piece. And he's playing well. This is his best baseball. He had a stretch like this last year, too. And
I thought he was going to stop by saying, well, he can play anywhere. So when someone needs a day off, we can plug him in there. But he kept going.
Yeah. I'm happy he's part of our club.
Miz is getting it done on the mound, but from an organizational standpoint, what's gone into kind of allowing him to focus purely on baseball this rookie season?
As opposed to focusing on
what? That made me laugh. It's a good question, and he clarifies here. It just makes me laugh.
Some of the outside noise, a lot of the attention that's come with it.
Yeah, that's who the kid is. The kid is he wanted this to happen, and he wanted to be good at it. He wants to be good at it, and he understands there's other guys in the room that can help him through it. Like he can't get involved in that or that or that. You people who come to him with some good, really smart questions and some really internish questions. You know what I mean? That puts a little more stress on him.
Or one more question.
You like the word internish? But no, you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard. He's got a lot of people just so happy for him. And just to kind of keep it all in perspective and know, hey, look, 5 days from now or tomorrow, I got to do my work. And the next day I got to do my work and get myself ready for that 5th day. And it's a lot on a young man, but he knows the deal. He knows the deal. And the pitching coaches have been unbelievable with him. They're on top of him. So, yeah.
Have you been impressed with his consistency?
Yes. You say Miz impressed? Yes. And there isn't anything I'm not impressed with.
So it's a little bit more from Pat Murphy last night. I think last night is the story. Today was a little bonus. It's a continuation of the story. But story is Miz might be legit, past just a couple of awesome starts. I think we all wanted to see how he bounced back after what happened against the Mets. And last night he answered the bell and then some. And Murph at some point during that presser said, like, you could tell he wants this. Like, he wanted to be in those moments. He wanted Ohtani last night. He wanted to be going up against Kershaw again. This exchange with Todd Rosiak last night. You could tell there's something here.
What was it like today matching up against the future Hall of Famer there in Kershaw?
Yeah, I mean, you have all the respect in the world to face Kershaw and, the 3,000 Ks. It's awesome to see a guy like that and match up against him. But, I saw something on online that he didn't know who I was, so I hope that he knows me now,
Again, he wants this. He's not trying to fly under the radar. He's like, I'm here. I'm here. Jacob Misiorowski's first 4 MLB wins are against Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Paul Skeens, and Clayton Kershaw. That is pretty wild. And he's been dominant in all 4. Mets won a week ago, not so much. But I was more curious to see how he bounced back from a performance like that, because we figured one at some point would happen. I still want to know how that performance goes if Bryce Terang just squeezes that loose ball at second and ends the game before the grand slam or the Lindor homer ever have a chance to happen. But ifs and buts, candies and nuts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's take our final break. We'll have a little time on the other side, so if anybody's just kind of joining the show after maybe catching the end of the Brewers postgame or getting in their car, I'll still have time to take your Brewers thoughts. 608-321-1670. The Wisco Sports Show. We'll wrap it up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
What were your impressions of their guy?
Yeah, I know him now, huh? I mean, that was super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable. It was really special. I mean, everything, obviously the velo, but he's got 4 pitches, commands the ball, and made it. I mean, I don't know how you hit that, honestly. That's just really tough. So, I mean, the 3 guys that came out of the pen for them plus him, I mean, I don't think we saw a fastball under 98 today as a team. So, you can talk about struggling all you want, but I don't know how. I mean, this was just a tough game. We got to give up. I can't give up any runs. That's just the way it goes.
It's Clayton Kershaw last night. I know him now. It's apparently the big to-do is Kershaw made some comment before the game. This all gets played up. It's all theatrics for beat reporters and press conferences for sure. But Clayton Kershaw was asked before the game, and his quote, and I'll read it from McCalvy's tweet. Quote, "Is that the guy with the ankle, the twisted the ankle on the mound guy? I know he throws hard. I saw a couple highlights. He throws hard, but so does everybody except me." Impossible to know exactly the tone and the inflection of that answer. But if I was Jacob Misiorowski, I was the type of competitor, I want to fire myself up. I'd see that and go, "Oh, everyone throws hard. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, Clayton, all starters throw 102. No, you're right." And then I'd want to go out there and pitch even harder. And then Misiorowski, I'll play it for you one more time for those who haven't heard it yet. Little question and answer with Todd Rosiak. You could tell even through his kind of goofy, goony teenage voice, like there's something there.
What was it like today matching up against the future Hall of Famer there in Kershaw?
Yeah, I mean, you have all the respect in the world to face Kershaw and, the 3,000 Ks. It's awesome to see a guy like that and match up against him. But, I saw something on online that he didn't know who I was, so I hope that he knows me now, kind of cool. But, it is what it is.
I hope that he knows me now. And Clayton Kershaw saying that one more time. Do you know him, Clayton?
Yeah, I know him now, huh? I mean, that was super impressive.
And it wasn't just Kershaw. Again, I like how the themes of today's show are tied together very well. I think the takeaway tonight is not, wow, Misiorowski's awesome, although that's part of it. It's this whole pitching staff and the way that it's come together over the last couple of weeks, but specifically the last few days. The proof was going to be in the pudding for Misiorowski bouncing back from his first bad start, and he did. Flying colors. Brandon Woodruff returns and looks like prime Brandon Woodruff. I saw our friend Sam Olber, who does Locked on Cubs, and actually I'll pull his tweet up just so I can quote it perfectly. He was talking about the Brewers. He said, oh God, where is it? Okay, he tweeted an hour ago. "Sometimes you just have to give credit where credit is due. The Cubs are having a great season. It should feel more comfortable than this, but Milwaukee is a really good team. We'll see if Misiorowski and Woodruff sustain through the rest of the year. That's the key." I agree that's the key. And if those two sustain, I don't know how Matt Arnold and Mark Attanasio and the whole brain trust don't feel compelled to go get a bat. Because you could walk into a playoff series, you'd have to sequence guys, but you could have Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff, and Misiorowski. Or Quintana, or Priest, or whoever. But you have elite options, and then this bullpen. I think Aaron Ashby is trending. I wish we could fast forward a month to see where Aaron Ashby is going to end up, because I think he's going to settle in a role with this team that's high level. Who knows with DL Hall? I think maybe he's the middle inning mop-up guy. Grant Anderson's getting more and more trust from Murphy. I think a week off for Nick Mears is going to do wonders. And Koenig seems to have found something these last 2 games. The peripherals with Koenig have remained good. All of the smart pitching people say, Koenig's still doing the good things that have gotten results in the past. The results just haven't been there. I joke with Koenig. It's like if baseball was a sport where you only needed to get 2 strikes and only needed to get 2 outs, he'd be the best friggin' reliever in baseball, because his trouble always seems to come after he's racked up a second strike or after he's got 2 guys out, and then things start to go south. But I think Koenig's performance is maybe now more in line with some of his underlying numbers and his peripherals. So we'll see. I think this is the question going into the All-Star break and immediately coming out. Do the Brewers decision makers feel compelled by the success of Misiorowski and Woodruff in this bullpen to think, yeah, one bat, a big investment might be worth it and might just give this team a chance to get past the first round, which is my measuring stick at this moment in time. Have an excellent night. Brewers free. Enjoy the evening. Free of any Brewer stress. We'll pick this up tomorrow at 4.